everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Web3 Weekly. I am Crypto Kenny. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Get some housekeeping done right off the bat. If you are not subscribed to our weekly podcast, please, 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 a little bell notification and subscribe button down below. Please hit both of those. Let us know how you liked today's video and any of the videos that we go over. We cover prominent projects in the NFT space. We do weekly market updates from time to time, just talking about the broader crypto markets. And then, of course, we have our educational content videos that we periodically put out. So if you're interested in any of those topics, please subscribe, please like, please tell us what we're doing right, what you liked about each video, what you didn't like, give us suggestions. Anything of that nature is much appreciated. So today for this episode, we are going to be talking once again, which is a subject we keep returning to because we have a thesis at Alpha Mutants and a thesis myself with my investment company that blockchain gaming is going to be a massive sector of blockchain technology development in the next couple of years. So we want to keep up as much as we can on the space. So today we will have with us the co-founder of Scrapyard, an NFT project, and co-founder of Uptick, which is a Web3 marketing company. So we're going to talk about Scrapyard. We're going to talk about the Web3 gaming space and specifically marketing as it involves Web3 gaming. So I think it's going to be a really exciting episode. Really quickly, if you guys have not seen our latest couple episodes that we've run here, one Web3 Weekly, I encourage you to go back and check those out. The most recent episode would obviously be our interview with Worlds Beyond, a metaverse as a service NFT project that just recently minted out about a week ago. They had a great mint out. They're a great company, great group of founders there. So if you haven't seen that, you can go ahead and right up here, there'll be a link to that specific video. Go check it out. But today we have with us Warren. He is, as I said before, the co-founder of both Scrapyard and Uptick, a Web3 marketing company. So, Warren, how about you start us off here? Just give us a little bit of an intro to yourself, how you got into the crypto blockchain technology, and what you're currently working on.
Yeah, what's up, Kenny? What's up, everyone? It's great to be here with y'all today. Thanks for having me on, first of all.
Yeah, 100%, man. I appreciate taking the time. I know that that Web3 takes a lot of time, and the schedules can be hectic, especially since it's a space that never sleeps. So I definitely appreciate your time being with us today, sir.
Yeah, for sure. And it's been such a crazy week for all of us in the space. It's nice to just kind of come back and talk about projects and talk about building versus all the drama of FTX and everything. Ooh, yeah. I think we're all exhausted.
It's a lot funner a lot funner to talk about gaming and things that you're enthusiastic about as opposed to market crashes and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm Warren Woodward, known as Bleed Kale in the Web3 space. But yeah, my main business is I run a games marketing company, and I've been working in games growth marketing for about a decade now. And that company is called Uptick, UPPTIC. We're about half and half in our portfolio of games that we do growth marketing for. It's about half traditional gaming on mobile and PC, and then half Web3 gaming, which has been the quickest growing part. And we do kind of all aspects of growth marketing. We do paid marketing, we do organic kind of partnership style marketing for Web3, develop the creative, provide the marketing analytics and tools. It's that's a pretty large scale team. We're around 30 people. And for the games that we support, we bring in around 50 million players a year to the portfolio overall. So that's kind of my day job. And then my other project and kind of passion project of the last year or so is I'm a part of this small team developing a Web3 game called the Scrapyard, which we've been building for about a year now, and there's about 4 on the core team, and then a number of part-time team members that are helping with kind of their specialties as they can. A couple months ago, we came out publicly with the playable alpha. One of our big caveats in getting the team together is we really wanted a game you could play before even revealing it. And so, yeah, really happy to kind of dig into both, to go deeper into the Scrapyard now that we've started revealing more info about the game, and also kind of explore the state of Web3 gaming overall and bringing Web3 games mass market.
100%, man. And I think I mean, there's a lot to go into with those subjects in themselves. So let's attack the scrapyard first. Let's get the listeners into what's going on with the scrapyard. So let's can you tell us basically the idea is behind the game? Like, what's the play loops look like? And what kind of sets it apart from other gaming projects that are currently being developed or in market currently?
Yeah, absolutely. So the core gameplay of Scrapyard, you can think of it like Twisted Metal meets Rocket League. What that means practically is it's a PvP arena-based car battling game with a really cool Web3 element. So everything in the game is collectible. So when you take your vehicle into battle, you're actually assembling a loadout that's a few different NFTs that you're putting together. So you've got your vehicle, which is your core unit, and then there's a couple of weapon slots that you can mix and match, try different combinations, and then you have a driver and a passenger in the vehicle. And while Scrapyard will have our own driver and passengers, which all grant abilities, our unique hook is we're really focused on bringing together different Web3 communities in a real tangible way where you can use those collections to do something cool in our game. And we do that through the driver and passenger mechanic. So even when we launched our alpha, we had a handful of supported communities like CyberKongs, Neo Tokyo, Dogepound, to name a few, where the hook is if you own, say, a CyberKong, you can bring it into the scrapyard and you get a unique ability for your driver that you only get by having that partner collection. So it's an ability that you can't even get by owning one of our characters. And so we just opened up the alpha a couple of months ago. Right now we have a closed Discord. We haven't started actively promoting yet. And right now we're building up to public beta, but it's this really fun gameplay loop where you get in the arena, battle up to six people in the current arena, blow each other up, collect scrap, which is the in-game token, and try different combinations of putting together these collections of different assets to see what's going to give you the most edge in battle or what best fits your playstyle.
Uh-huh. I looked over, did some research on the project, and was kind of looking at some of the media that you guys have out with it and everything last night. I did not get to get in and look at that like actual gameplay, but I was looking, and the thought came to me that as a kid, I'm in my early 30s. So as a kid, I remember playing games like Twisted Metal, like Battle Tanks for the 64, like these vehicle based battle games, and I remember how immersing they were. Like the loops were super simple, but it was always cool because you had these different combinations of weapons, and you were trying to find the best strategies to play back and forth. And so I really like the concept because I think you guys are keeping it simple. You're keeping it in a proven play loop that people have loved for decades, and you're bringing it to Web3 and kind of giving it that extra oomph that Web3 can give to gaming. So that's very interesting on from what I was looking at. It'd be something. There's very specific genres that I personally like playing, and that's one of them. I think that it's something you can jump on and you can play for 15 minutes and it's fun. Or it's something that you can dedicate hours and hours playing, trying to find specific strats and things like that to work on the game. So I like that about it in itself. So one of the other things I wanted to ask you specifically about the scrapyard is, and what you guys are doing building up. Obviously, we can't talk about anything without talking about the market condition right now, right? We've seen games and NFT projects that 18 months ago would have completely rocked the blockchain if they launched, and now they're even struggling to get any kind of like user base. So how are you guys like thinking about and approaching those real issues that we're currently having in the market?
Yeah, I mean, backing way up to when I met the rest of the team and we talked about the idea for the project, I think a couple things are simultaneously true about the current state of Web3. Like it's immensely promising technology that's going to have profound impact on a number of industries. I think gaming will be first and foremost amongst those. I have a big bias because that's the industry that I've been working in for better part of my life. But this is true, but also it's true that it's still a space that's dominated by bad actors and scams and low quality projects. And so, we made the decision as a team when we launched our project that we didn't want to make any empty promises before we potentially even asked for the first dollar from any of our future community members. We wanted to have something where people could see it, they could play it, they could see if they found it fun and found the idea compelling, and then decide if they wanted to participate, in actually like owning those assets and being part of the community. We didn't want to launch based on a theoretical. So that's been a big part of our thesis, is like, like earn that respect by showing what we're able to build before we try to fully launch, raise any kind of funds for the game, either through traditional fundraising or through any kind of sale of in-game items. So that's always been a big part of our thesis. And just being candid, the timing's not great. It's not great for a lot of people right now, because we were looking at Q4 as when to really kind of roll out, to open up. From right now, we have a closed beta a closed alpha test server of just like a couple hundred close community members. But we are really excited to open it up and start inviting more people in to see what they think of the project. But with the current market conditions, I'm a marketer by trade, and so I'm very mindful of when we start doing our big push. And I think what we're focused on right now is, let's just keep improving the product. Like, there's no rush. Like, if we try to launch something now, it's not going to get the most eyes on it, and you really only get that one moment to make a first impression. So what does that mean practically? Like, right now, our two main developers and co-founders are working on completing a port to Unreal Engine 5. Originally, we're built in Unreal 4, and we're adding a bunch of new features, which we're going to be testing in the alpha community. But we're just going to use the time to keep focusing on the product and try to make it as fun and exciting as possible before we give the bulk of the world their first impression. So that all being said, if people do like kind of seeing how the sausage is made, it's pretty fun in our alpha server. And we are, if you shoot either me or the team a message through our Twitter, like, we're happy to ask you a couple questions and invite you to be an alpha tester. So we do invite people to come, tell us what they think of the game, but we also know that we want it really polished before we open it up to like broader audiences.
Right, right. Well, I'll tell you, one of the reasons why I was interested and initially reached out to you to be on the podcast is because, I've been in traditional investing markets for well over a decade. I've ran an investment and VC fund in the crypto space for almost 8 years now, coming up in December. And I like, at this point, I have, as far as my NFT and gaming investments, we've really pivoted to only like looking at projects that had the fortitude to create these products and have a viable product before they started asking for money and coming to a market. So when I was told by one of the girls that work for us that that's what you guys were doing, you were actively developing, you've been developing, you were creating something before you started asking for money and everything, that is, to me, that's a very good green flag in the market, because it means that there's you guys have a plan that goes beyond up to your mint date, right? You're building something. I mean, it's the exact same strategy that we took with Alpha Mutants. We ran a product and a freemium model for 90 days before we ever went to mint, right? Because we wanted to demonstrate that and try to change the culture to for just people saying, hey, this is what we're going to do, give us money and then we might do it, right? To, we actually are, here's what we've developed so far, if you want to buy into this, that we can it helps us to continue to develop on top of what we've got. So I think that to quote unquote weed out the bad players in the space, that this needs to be the model that pretty much every new project takes, that we dedicate some sweat equity and some development time into these projects before we start asking people for money. And it makes the overall gaming space in the crypto market, it makes the entire market itself, the entire space, a lot more legitimate when these things are functioning like real businesses and not just crowdfunding. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate that about what you guys are doing and how you're attacking this. Apart from the game looking like it would be really fun, also. So I can see getting the whole Alpha Mutants crew.
It's super
together.
fun.
Yeah, and playing some game. I think that we've been looking into doing into doing like game night and community games and stuff like that. And right now in the space, it's really difficult to find like a really good one that's an engaging, pretty much everyone can play and have fun with it type of game to do. And the ones that you do find are really simplistic and they're just not, super fun to do. So that's actually how I initially started talking about your project because we were looking into these things and Surfer Girl had told me she's like this one seems like it would be once they get to a point where it's like playable stuff. She said this would be really fun. I was like, yeah, man. I mean that's like it would be something that would be really great for community engagement, getting people together and just playing, having fun, doing those type of things, throwing up some prizes. So that's really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
and if I can expand on that for
yeah,
a
sure, sure.
moment. So we've been having a lot of fun in the alpha with both doing things for our small community to thank them, but also to bring other communities in and get good feedback sessions. So
Yeah,
for our community, we've been other projects have offered us say allow list opportunities, and we don't just raffle them off. We have scrapyard battles for it. So
oh,
everyone we'll
nice.
do like a 2 hour play session where we all get on VC and we're blowing each other up in a bunch of rounds, accumulating scrap, or the token as points, and then the top 10 will earn the allow list spot. So it's great for us. It adds a little stakes to the game. And we've been actually in that spirit of interoperability. Like when we one of the other projects that I helped is called Project Elune. It's like MMO RPG that's coming out next year. So we had a competition for their allow list, and we actually redid the whole arena in their theme. So we like put their
Oh, that's
assets in
awesome.
different places in the arena. We had their trailer playing in part of the arena as well. And so we'll like kit out the arena. So it's kind of in the spirit of the event we're doing. So that's
Yeah,
like one side of it. And then, you
yeah,
mentioned, yeah, we'd love to have alpha mutants for like a private game night. And what we can do is put a couple of like Easter eggs or things in the arena to make
yeah,
it fun for you guys. And then it's a lot better than an AMA because the team will be on VC with
yeah,
the community that's trying it. You guys are blowing each other up, having fun, but the founders will be in here playing with you. So you guys can not only ask us questions, but be playing the game while you ask us questions. So we think that's
yeah.
a good way to like really educate and onboard people to our project is through doing, if we can host you guys and add value that way. We think that that's a good like first impression for just like how our team operates, and hopefully the game speaks for itself.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that idea. I love I'm a big proponent to gamification of almost everything in the space. And so I love, kind of moving away from the whole grinding for whitelist things and things like this and actually allowing, time spent in the space and interacting with actual projects to like be the gateway to get value. I think that's fantastic. And yeah, I'd love to talk about that. We'll definitely talk about that. Maybe we could set up a community event between the two of us. That would be super, super fun.
Yeah,
Um,
and there's a one other thing I want to call out. There's another huge benefit. I would really encourage for anyone who is, trying to promote or market their project to gamify it in some way. Because it has this really, I mean, if you're building something long term, you're not trying to sell an asset just for people to flip it. You're trying to sell a key into your community, like a first step. And so by gamifying the people that come into your community that earn the allow list spot, you can have this nice synergy of the people that are, the most interested, who's willing to actually like play it out, and battle, in our case, like if you battle in the arena and prove that like, no, I'm super deep in Web3 gaming, and I just like love playing games, that's going to equal really high value community members that we're bringing to the partner projects, because they're not people that just want to raffle or flippers. They're people that are like, no, I'm a gamer. I gamed for this. I destroyed other people in order to earn this allow list spot. So they're more likely to stick around and be active members of the gaming communities that we're partnered with.
yeah, 100%. I agree with you 100% on that. I think that's one of the awesome things about Web3 is that you have the option to gamify pretty much everything, and it creates engagement, right? Because you want your holders to be the ones that are actually on there playing the games and engaging in the communities, and not just people that are just coming in as a potential short term investment. 100%.
Right.
So one of the things I like to ask anyone that's when we sit and we talk about our projects and everything, and I'm obviously on hundreds of spaces a month, doing outreach work and collaboration and things like that. But I think sometimes it behooves us to take a step back and just, I mean, think about the space as a whole. So what I always like to ask any founders or projects that come along with us is, what currently excites you in the gaming niche of the space, outside of things you're working on. Like, what excites you, whether that's a project, whether it's a developing technology, what has gotten you excited recently about developments in the space as far as gaming is concerned with blockchain tech?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, backing up a little bit, I was a pretty late adopter to anything crypto or blockchain related. There's just nothing that really excited me. I watched the space from afar in the early days, and what really caught my attention was, when Axie started blowing up and seeing the use cases for gaming. As someone who's been like a lifelong gamer, and worked in the industry, like it clicked for me, and that was the first time that I saw that you could do things that there clearly wasn't another way to do in as compelling a way. As far as like, I always think the main value of Web3 for me in this state of development is the Lego pieces that it gives you for compelling game design and game economy design for things that you couldn't really do or were like a real pain in the ass to do in traditional game design. So what excites me right now is teams that I see really leaning into the unlocks that Web3 brings for game design rather than the financial opportunities. I almost think like the financial and speculative side of all things Web3 has become a bit of an albatross that brings, it's at least in the current market condition, it's done us a lot more harm than good for anyone building a new project today. And so I really try to separate out like what is the functionality that the technology brings to gaming from some of the financial opportunities. So with that all in mind, one of my favorite teams that I'm not directly involved with is EtherWorks, which is one of the original like on-chain RPG projects.
I'm a holder. I'm terrible about being active in the community, but yes, I've
Oh,
known
nice.
EtherWorks for a long time.
Have you got to try their dungeon crawler yet?
No, I have. I honestly have never played any of their stuff. I read their white paper. I talked to some of the original team and community. I loved what they were doing. I have an assistant that literally follows all my stuff with but because obviously I'm involved with a couple projects I've founded since then, so that takes up 90% of my time. But I do love the community, and I do love how they've had longevity and they've continued to develop and to move forward regardless of the market. So yes, I will always be a supporter of that game 100%. And I love the gamification that they've done with everything, like the game theory, the gamification, the continued development. I'm a huge supporter.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, if people want to learn more about that project, again, I'm not directly involved with it other than I'm just a fan and a community member, but I do a podcast too called App Talk with Uptick. And we had the co-founders of EtherWorks on a week or two ago, just talking about, their design philosophies. And one thing that I like about their team is I think they really represent an underrepresented group of like, what is indie game dev, like bootstrapped, true, like non-VC, not GameFi, but just like indie game dev in Web3. What does it look like? And they basically built their project, and which is now like it's a compelling, fully interactive game with free mints, initially no royalties till the community funded it. And it's like money was always secondary for them. And I really respect the hell out of that. So that's one team I'm really excited about. The other ones, like it's weird because I try to work with the teams that I'm most excited about. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here. So, one of the games that I support in my day job is at Uptick is as Axie Infinity. And we've been getting ready with them for the last year for the rollout of the new version of Axie, which is Axie Infinity Origins. And pretty soon here, we should be seeing Axie like live on at least the Android App Store, which is going to be like a huge win. It was a long road to get to the spot, but I'm super bullish on how they've obviously had Axie blew up, then had a big crash. No secret there, but I think for a while they've known that the model that they initially spec'd out for the game is not the long-term sustainable model. And for over a year, they've been working on retooling the game to have free-to-play onboarding, to really make the earnings aspect like secondary, like again, back to this idea of how can you use Web3 to make gaming more fun. So I think there's a lot of cool stuff that they have done and are doing with this new version of Axie, which is much more geared at mass market. And I'm super excited to see how the world reacts to that when we really roll it out. So and overall, like I'm really focused on like projects that have free to play on ramps to lower the barrier of entry to get into Web3, rather than like token gating, or like you have to buy an NFT and move your assets across chain before, and then you can have fun. I think a lot of projects kind of have it backwards.
Yeah, and I mean you made a couple good points in like the last couple minutes, and one I would like to say so I was actually a very very early adopter of Axie Infinity. I actually at one point in time ran a guild of over 10,000
Wow.
in the game itself way back in the day. Now for me personally, the funny thing is it's like obviously that was me initially coming into the gaming side of blockchain tech. So for me, I was an investor of nothing. I
Mhm.
saw that there was a potential to make a lot of money in that sector, and we did. We were so early that we made X's and X's over our initial
Yeah, I'm
investment.
sure, man.
And
Congratulations.
at one point in time, we literally had thousands of axes that we were running daily. But the thing I take from that is, obviously the I think no one would deny that the tokenomics that was originally set up for that game was flawed, and I do appreciate the fact of the pivot of the team. But the one thing I will say that Axie gave me was that up until that point, I had never played a Web3 game myself that was in any way fun or addicting. And I'll tell you, for about 2.5, 3 months, I played Axie Infinity every day for the sole purpose that I like turn-based games. So turn-based like games have always been a big thing for me, and
Yeah.
I've always loved those things. I like Pokemon games, and then when you get more advanced to like Final Fantasy and things like that, like I've always loved those games. And Axie, even though it was still raw back then and kind of unpolished, it was still fun initially doing it, and I saw the potential for that to become more interactive and more fun as continued development came. So it's what really kind of convinced me that blockchain gaming could not only be financially beneficial and have a ownership of time and assets, but it could also be a fun experience, right? So that was the first thing I wanted to kind of point out there. And then secondly, I think you're completely right. I think that the biggest problem I've always had with blockchain gaming is the barrier to entry. Because during the peak of the bull market, I mean, you couldn't get into any game without dropping hundreds of dollars to get access for the NFTs and stuff. And I mean, we all knew at that point in time that that was a flawed mechanic, and that was taking away 99% of the market, because most people can't afford to drop $500 into a game to start playing. You know what I mean? So I think you're absolutely correct on that. I think that the pivot to barrier to entry to to the free to play, and then allowing development into purchasable assets and stuff as you move on is a great thing. We actually talked about that quite a bit with Splinterlands, because they have some free play options and stuff too when we had them on. But I also think a big thing with gaming is destroying the barrier to entry to just crypto tech itself. I think that's a big thing, man, because it's so difficult. Because even if you have the gaming community, a lot of these guys aren't savvy as far as blockchain tech coming. When you have to tell them, hey, man, you have to open up this particular wallet, and then you've got to purchase this particular governance token, and then you've got to transfer that governance token to the wallet,
Right.
and then you've got to. I mean, it's a huge barrier to entry, right? And so I am very bullish on projects that are working to present ways around that, right?
Right.
So, for example, I'm not going to shill anything while I'm on here, but there's a couple projects I've talked to lately that have completely wiped out that. So that they will custodial the wallets. You can just create an account like you would with any game, and you can change it to a self-custodied wallet as you move forward in the game, but you don't have to. You can just create an account, start playing the game. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and that gets them into the gaming. I think that's a great pivot in the space to move towards that type of onboarding.
No, that's a smart design choice. It's a recommendation I've been advising a lot of projects to at least consider lately, because another big blocker in this long battle to onboarding people and trying Web3 gaming is platform adoption. So, Splinterlands is one of the few games that somehow was able to get past Apple and Google approvals to be on mobile. But I mean, getting to mobile is just like crucial for mass adoption of any gaming project, because most of the world, like that is their gaming device. I live in I live in the US, and it's like, here we kind of take it for granted that people have consoles and gaming PCs, but like, the average person in greater parts of the world, all they have is their phone.
Yep.
And so, point being, Apple and Google are starting to evolve their policies for Web3 and NFTs. And it's not all great right now. There's a lot of scary stuff in the current policies. But one thing that both teams have made clear is, like, if you're going to sell an NFT, you have to have a way that you can refund it, to respect like the purchase refund windows that both platforms support. So custodied wallets by the developer are one kind of novel way that you could still comply with refund policy, because then the developer still holds, like, don't get me wrong, I think people should hold their assets in their own wallets like 100% of the time that they can. But in that journey of onboarding, regular people to Web3, those wallets owned by the dev, at least for a period of time, could be a very helpful thing to just get on the platforms. Your game, no one can try your game if you can't get it in front of them. So having a road to be mobile apps is like super crucial for this.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you 100%. And I think it's, we develop, if you look at the development of gaming, over the years, you see that same, 1, 2, 3 steps that go on. Like even in arcade games, you threw a quarter in, which was a small barrier to entry to try out the game. If you love the game, you put more quarters in, right? We had additional monetization. We went through a long period where we had online and then in-store rentals. You could pay a few bucks to rent a game, try it out, and if you liked it, you could go purchase the game, right? So I don't think it's a huge leap I mean, with the development of blockchain gaming, to follow that same step, right? Allow people to either free or very cheaply get into the game, and if they like the game, they're going to come back. They're going to continue to their presence in the game, to purchase and to build out if they like the game. So I agree with that 100%. So one other thing that I wanted to kind of bring up, just to talk to for a minute, was, specifically with let's talk a little bit now about Uptick and what you're currently doing with them. So you guys do, you're a marketing platform for gaming. You've already said that you're working with Axie Infinity, with their Origins rollout. I believe you said you're working with Battlefly too.
Yeah, Battlefly. There's another game that we just signed on recently called The Harvest that I'm really excited about. That's we're going to be launching them on, hopefully on Steam and Epic Store platform in the months ahead. Project Illusion, that's another really promising Web3 project that I'm a big fan of. And then we are helping at least one really mainstream traditional games company launch their first Web3 titles as well too. But I'm not at liberty to go super deep on that one specifically.
So you knew my next question was like, oh, you're gonna let some alpha slip here, but no, I understand. but it's great to hear though. That's great to hear that traditional gaming, companies are looking into this, because you hear about it every day, right? So it's good to actually see some of that going on. So one of the big questions I have with Uptick is, what do you see? Because you've been in the gaming industry for most of your professional career. So what do you see the differences as far as, like, marketing a game, bringing a game to market, in Web 2 versus Web 3? Like, what are the distinguishable differences, and the ways that you guys have had to, like, I mean, you're basically writing the rule book now, right? Because we're so early in the space, it's like, you're kind of writing the rule book as to how do you market a Web 3 game as opposed to a Web 2 game. So I'd love you to talk a little bit about that, and like what some of the differences are.
Yeah, so you're more focused on the investment side of things than I am, which I think is a really cool perspective to kind of like look at gaming as a segment, me more from the game development marketing side, and you more from the investment side. So I'll give some alpha from the investment side of something that I see that's like the number one red flag tied to this, which is, if you're looking at a pitch deck or learning about a project, and it's something designed for Web3 audiences first and foremost, it's going to fail. Like, there's so few people that are active gamers that are Web3 natives right now. That project's not going to survive long enough to reach to the point of mass adoption. So like, there has to be some hook to pull in mainstream players and an accessibility level. Sorry, I'm blanking out. Like, what was the question again? Might need to do a quick edit here.
Just the differences in
Oh, the
like
differences in the
yeah,
sectors.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So in mainstream gaming, and I come from a big background in free to play, so like the barrier of entry can't be lower. You basically see an ad for a game, or you find it in the store, or a friend tells you about it. You search it up, hit a big red button, the blue button that says get, and then you're playing 30 seconds later. And it's very different in Web3, where it's like you learn about a project, you buy something, they say they're going to build it in a year, maybe
yeah,
it comes out, maybe it doesn't. So um when for I've got a lot of experience like launching these big Web2 or free to play games. Like that's a playbook that can be replicated easy peasy as long as it's a strong game. For Web3, to your point, like we're all figuring it out right now. And if someone tells you that they have this solved, like there hasn't even been a single long-term successful sustainable Web3 game yet, arguably.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
even the biggest ones have fallen on like really hard times. So
Mhm.
um, I think one thing that I would advise people building in Web3 is like, don't look to the past. Don't like take the default assumptions that like, oh, Axie did this or Gods Unchained did this. So like we should copy that, because we haven't figured it out yet. Like I'm even skeptical that games having a token in them is like a default. Not that it should never happen, but that's just treated as a default. If you build a game, you have a token, you use the token for fundraising. I'm not sure that that's exactly right. So I'm getting a little meta. But coming
Yeah,
back to the differences of like launching these games, like for a Web3 game, we always think about launching it in three distinct phases, assuming that it's designed to eventually be mainstream audiences. So phase one, we call the development phase, and this is when you're marketing to the Web3 native ecosystem. This is all us, the small group of us Kool-Aid drinkers that are like, still here, still like following these projects. It's a needle in a haystack. So you have to do very white glove marketing to hit this audience. You're not hitting with them with ads. We, in the Web3 space, like I actually think ads are like a super ineffective way.
yeah,
Even though that's the bulk. If you look at our portfolio overall, like 99% of the users coming in through performance marketing through ads. But
yeah,
we don't use that for these early stage Web3. We focus on social proof marketing, on partnership style marketing. On you have to do like deeper funnel. You can't just show someone an ad. You have to kind of take them on a journey, educate them,
yeah,
hold their hand, because we're going after these early adopters. So that's the strategy when you have that early stage Web3 native is more focused, yeah, again, on those organic non-paid marketing techniques, partnerships, AMAs, social proof of different kinds. And that's really what we do there. Once you have that core community, and now you've maybe sold your initial NFT set, you have a playable demo, now you start wanting to get in mainstream players. And that's when we'll like open up and start doing some performance marketing, some targeting, bringing in regular players. That part's easy. So like phase two is the soft launch. You're like getting data on mainstream audiences. You're seeing how they react to your game. You're seeing where you lose them in the funnel, and you're learning and you're pivoting your product based on that data. And this
yeah,
usually goes on for, I'd say, 3 months to a year if the team can sustain it. And then, and only then, when you've built your core community, you've done test marketing, maybe brought in 20,000 players, got the data on them, tuned the product, optimized your marketing funnel, then you actually launch the game and go worldwide. And that's only then do you want to put like several $1,000,000 or more into marketing. You really want to be confident. You don't want to have what you call like a leaky bucket, where you're dumping money into bringing players into a game where they're just going to churn instantly because it's a bad experience. So
yeah.
we really think of that three stages of development, and really try to focus on projects that like have the funding to be alive that long, to do it the right way, and also have the patience to know that like they can't take what they have today and launch it to the masses, because the masses are going to reject it. So taking
Yeah.
them on that journey, learning, optimizing, getting data along the way.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting because we have some current gaming projects under development that are ambitious to say the least, right? And I'm almost convinced that it may be too early to be so ambitious. You know what I'm saying? Because we have a very small market as Web3 native to go to, and we have a leap as far as actual game experience play to go into to get to the Web2 market, which is the largest majority of the gaming market. So in my opinion, and the thesis that I've kind of run over is, I think the first wave of this development is going to be simple to play, mobile enabled, Web3 games that are almost indistinguishable as being
Right.
Web3 games, right? Because that's really the first leg, in my opinion. Because if you come out here and try to drop a modern Warzone, built on Web3 right currently, like I feel like it's going to be massively rejected because it's just not we're just not there yet. So I'm really bullish on these really fun play loop games that aren't too deep and long and difficult, and they're just fun and mobile friendly and that type of thing going on. So that's my personal thesis and what we've personally been looking at. But like you said, man, it's nobody really has the answer because we don't we're so early at this point that we're almost at the stage. I compare it to, the internet was a massive success, but the dot com bubble was just pardon my French, but it was just it was a
Right.
shit show. It was a shit show, right? And I feel like that's where we're at in the Web3 space now, where the largest majority of the funds going in and out are just these speculative, trying to make a buck people, just like it was with the dot com boom, where everyone was going out there and buying, dog.com and all this stuff because they thought it was going to be some sort of,
Right.
value
100%.
value prop. So I think that once we get through that churn, which it looks like we're beginning to do that now, and more of the speculative market is jumping out, and the long term builders are still here. I think once we get through that we start seeing some actual real innovation,
And
the niche in the market itself. So it's really
and
interesting.
you said a really important thing there, which is for this first wave, and I fully agree with this. With the Web3 component should be indistinguishable. Like
Yeah,
it should be something that's just making your experience better. But we have a problem in the Web3 space of we have this jargon that we use that's like active. It's a branding problem. Like the terminology that we developed and used in the Web3 space, our space has like earned a bad reputation, often deservedly. Not speaking any particular projects, but just the bad actors that make so much noise that like these terms are actively repulsing mainstream players. Like a good anecdote that I saw. So like you mentioned turn-based games. I grew up playing a lot of Magic the Gathering, and like I still dabble in that community. And that community hates NFTs. They hate Web3, even though it's like kind of the original collectibles game, and
yeah,
Magic Online was like collectible, tradable objects, but they just hate kind of the culture and what it represents. And I was in a Magic Reddit forum the other day, and people were talking trash on NFTs and crypto, and half of them had the Reddit NFTs
yeah,
as their icons. And I don't think they realize that they're even participating, because
yeah,
Reddit did a great job with the branding and rollout of their digital collectibles. And
yeah.
people enjoy it. Like people are proudly displaying these things and collecting them, unknowingly participating in what's great about Web3.
Yeah, well, I agree with you 100% because I've always had the conversation that the majority of the gaming market, it does not like NFTs, and it philosophically makes no sense because if you ask a gamer, one playing a game like World of Warcraft, like if you had the opportunity to own this limited weapon that you spent hundreds of hours going after to acquire, and you actually own that, like 100% of them would say yes because now they don't, they have it in the game but it's still under the custody of the game developer, and if they actually had ownership they would that would it to as a trophy of what the time they'd put in, and being able to take that off the platform to sell it if they wanted to keep it as a collectible to whatever. They, almost all of them would tell you yes, I would love that to be an option, but they miss the correlation, right? So I think it's exactly as you stated. I think it is the way that Web3 has presented itself. It's not the underlying philosophy or the underlying thesis of ownership
Mm-hmm.
in gaming. It is the degenerative way that Web3 gaming has presented itself up to this point, right?
Right.
So I 100% agree with you with that. I think it's going to take um, a shift in the way we do things, and we're trying to actively do that in my personal projects, in the projects we collaborate with, because we're trying to to build and cultivate a community that is not. I guess the best way to say it is not financially focused, right? We're not monetarily focused at what we're doing. We are looking to get involved with games and with protocols and with NFT projects that are doing really cool things that we plan on being involved with for the next, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? And not so much only thinking about the monetary value behind it, right? And I think that's what we have to look at, because a gamer does not go and purchase a game for $70 to with a thought in their head that, oh, I'm going to make $200, and my ROI is going to be good on this game. No, they think about, I'm paying $70 because the entertainment value I get from this is going to be
Right.
the ROI, right? And that's the shift we have to make inside the
Exactly.
space.
And if
Um,
if I can follow onto that, I think when people talk trash about a lot of Web3 gaming projects, they talk about how the asset value has, the item value has gone down, or the token value. And I think we really need to separate out the financial investment side of Web3 versus like owning digital collectibles. Because I mean, how friggin' huge is the free to play gaming industry and in-game purchase? It's insane.
yep.
It dominates all of gaming revenue now. And those are in-game items. Those are items that that you're purchasing to use with your character, and every single one of the purchases is immediately and guaranteed to be zero ROI
Yeah.
forever.
It goes to
So
zero. As soon as you
yeah,
buy it, it
yeah.
goes to zero. Yeah.
So like I think we should not be buying Web3 gaming items like with the expectation of I'm buying this as a financial investment. It's like, no, I'm gaming, I'm having fun, I get to keep this thing. And who knows, maybe it'll be worth something someday. Maybe like I accomplish something rare, or because I'm playing this game early, like this will be a rare item and it might have some value, but that shouldn't be what's driving you. If you're going to be very disappointed if you're only playing these games for an expected return. And speaking to the audience in general,
Yeah.
if you want to invest, invest in the equity of a business, but don't buy an in-game asset as your primary investing thesis.
Yeah, 100%. And I think also that, I was on a panel the other day discussing pretty much this same topic, and I think it's universal across every portion of the NFT space, is that people are realizing that there has to be a value proposition in order to create a
Yeah,
floor value in the market, right? So that's what people are seeing. People are seeing these projects that had no value proposition to begin with. Yeah, those projects are declining in value rapidly, right? But there are distinctions now, and you can see that. I mean, our own project is a great example. 8 months ago, at the beginning of this bear period, our core NFT project was trading for 20 US dollars, and now we trade daily for 5 to 700, right? But that's because we were not focused on that to begin with. That is just a function of providing utility for holding the said NFT, and that then we allow the market to create the floor, right? And that, I think, has to be the pivot for not just gaming projects, but NFT projects across the market. If you do not create the value of holding that project, then it's the floor price is not going to reflect that. So the only projects that I currently hold, I dumped most of my NFTs in November, December last year, right? Because I saw the thing that did it was I got whitelisted for a project that was some crazy animal, like a ferret or something, and there was no roadmap, there was no whatever. I minted these things and made like 10x the day I minted them. And at that point in my mind, it's like, this has to be a top signal, because if I can make money off of a cartoon drawing of a ferret that has no utility for me to hold whatsoever, then that's a market top, right? But I say that to say this: the NFTs I hold now, I never plan on selling because they give me utility. So I have,
right.
like a great example of this is I'm a wine enthusiast. So I hold a couple NFTs that drop me 2 bottles of wine every quarter, from this vineyard that we're invested in Southern California. That's a great utility for me. I paid a one-time fee, and I get to vote on what ones get to come to my, get shipped to my house. I don't have to go out and purchase them, and it comes back. That's an awesome utility. I don't ever plan on selling that because it does something for me. And those are the projects I'm bullish on, because the utility of the project creates an environment that I don't ever have to sell them. Like, I mean, if they 10x'd in value, maybe I might think about it, but I'm not initially thinking about that because I just purchased for the utility. And I think that if we can make that pivot in the gaming space, in the NFT project space, that is going to be the road to growth and to bringing in more of the retail market, of the traditional gaming market, and so forth.
Yeah, well put. And if I can say props to you and your team for sticking it through with your project and your community. When I think it's so easy in the space when the value of a project goes down to just peace out.
Yep.
Like the founders got their bag, like on to the next thing. It's that's the hardest thing to do is like go through it with the community, like in those tough times, and keep working, keep building, and turn it around when it feels like the momentum has turned against you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, but I think that's good though, because I think it shows the people that are here for the actual development of the space versus those that are here to make a buck, right? Because I mean, let's be honest, man. Right now, it is sweat equity right now. I mean, you're putting in hours and hours and time, and you're not making a whole lot of profit from it. Most of like a lot of people are making nothing. They're just here developing because they believe in the technology, they believe in the space. So I think that's awesome. But we are coming into the end of the hour here. We don't want to go over too much. I feel like we could have probably sat here and talked for 2 or 3 hours about this, about gaming in the space, which is subjects that I love to speculate on and discuss. But I want to what I'm going to do, guys. Anyone that's watching out here, the same thing I say whenever we have a project, the one that is personally endorsed by Alpha Mutants, and that we have one is support these projects. And I'm not even talking in the monetary sense. We know that liquidity is low right now and a lot of people don't have it. If you have it, you want to go get involved with these projects, definitely do so. But the number one thing you can do is, if you believe in the space and you believe in what's being developed, is to follow these projects on their social medias, retweet their tweets, help them in bringing that message or that game or that technology out there to other people. So below in the description, I'm going to have links to the Scrapyard. Obviously, we'll have some links to Uptick and some of the personal social links to Warren here. And follow, support. That's it. Costs you free 99 to do so, and it can be the part that you play in continuing to develop these projects with founders that are actually trying to develop usable technology in the space to bring it forward. So I would encourage you to please do so. Also, if you're not involved with the Alpha Mutants, as always, our socials will be linked down below. But Warren, I want to give you a minute or two here. Just any final thoughts or events coming up, or anything that you'd like to direct people to what you're working on currently. Please feel free to let us know how we can support and what's going on with you in the future.
Yeah, I guess my final thought is just while this last many months, and especially this last week, has been super painful for people in Web3, just appreciate that if people are sticking around now and building now, they're not in it for for just the money. And this is kind of when you find the real ones. So look at who's building right now and the projects that you like, that you like the people, you like their teams. And I think if people are sticking it through now, there's a good chance they're sticking it through just about anything.
Yeah,
So
100%.
for
I would echo that 100%. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it was really good to join you, Kenny. Like this was really fun. Got to talk about a lot of my favorite topics. If someone's building a game and you're going for that, like that big vision of a large mass market game and in it for the long haul, yeah, you can reach Uptick through uptick.com. That's upptic.com. And for everyone else, yeah, the Scrapyard, it's still in stealth mode, closed alpha tester. But if you made it this far, if you either shoot me a message on Twitter or shoot the Scrapyard, which is Scrapyard_game on Twitter, just let us know you'd like to be an alpha tester. We'll send you an invite for the closed community, and it's free. We're not asking any money. We just want people that are passionate about Web3 gaming to come in and test and give us feedback. And you definitely might be getting some special stuff in the future if you help us during this alpha testing phase.
Yeah, well, I can guarantee you that you will have half a dozen mutants hitting you up on that, because our community loves to alpha test games, and we have a very heavy presence in the gaming side of the space. So yeah, there you guys have heard it there. So give him a DM, give the Scrapyard a DM, get in there on that alpha test. I'll probably even do that myself. Maybe we can even have some a forum to kind of just discuss the gameplay and stuff. So it'll be super fun. We will be talking with Warren in the future. Maybe we can do a collaboration where we can get a gaming night with some prizes and stuff going on with them. I think that'd be
Yeah.
super fun. But yeah. So final thoughts, guys. Obviously, that the space is going through a down period. If you're still here, if you're watching this video, you're probably one of the ones that know this, and you're here for the long haul and for the space, and for that we appreciate it. The builders appreciate it. Support however you can. It doesn't always have to be monetary. Support however you can, but follow, like, appreciate the time that you guys have all spent with us. Until next time, I'm Crypto Kenny. This is Web3 Weekly. Warren, thank you so much. Goodbye to
Thanks,
all,
y'all.
and we'll see you guys next time.